You were frying, dude. Your POV looked different. Like, it seemed like you really willed that series. These are my rivals, not necessarily my teammates.
Like, if you get dropped from a team, you don't want to hear, oh my God, his replacement is so much, like, oh my God, they're so much better now. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. Every time I play against them, no matter what, I'm always going to want to beat them because one, I don't think I should have got dropped, and two, like, I just don't want to lose.
Welcome back to Tide the Leader, a community-driven podcast about the past, present, and future of Halo. Today, I'm joined with Makowski, as always, and I also have our special guest today, which is Kuhlect. How you doing today, Kuhlect?
Good, I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. Appreciate you being here. So we start out pretty much every show with your origin story. You've been kind of brand new to the scene compared to most of our other guests. Tell us a little bit about your early gaming life. How did you get into gaming in the first place, and how did you come up with your gamer tag?
Me getting into gaming, I think the first FPS shooter I ever played was H3. And I think I was like 3.5, I think, when I was playing that game. We were playing split screen FFA every single day, and it was local because our internet was bad. So we were just playing local split screen FFAs all the time, and it was on one map. I forget what it's called, but it's like Ruins. It's in H3. It's a social.
Oh, is it Ghost Town?
Ghost Town, yeah. We just played Ghost Town FFA against each other the whole time.
You say we, was this you and family? Was this you and local friends? Who was in those lobbies?
It was me and my two older brothers that were playing. I've an older brother I have two other brothers. One is 7 years older than me. One is 9 years older than me. But yeah, that was really just my first FPS. Besides, games in general. I think the first game I played, or the first game I can remember I played, was Need for Speed Pro Street, and I was really into car games back then. I'm still into car games now, but that's what I remember playing. That wasn't FPS, and that's really just all I played growing up.
Very cool. I can kind of relate to that. I had an older brother that got me into games. I mean, I'm a bit older than you, obviously, but we played like GoldenEye on the N64, Perfect Dark, but then like Halo comes out, and he was always beating me. So I feel like for me personally, like just getting beat up by my older brother in games like kind of fueled me to want to get better myself and ultimately get better. Was it a similar experience for you, or were you like better than your older brothers pretty early on?
This is a crazy, not a crazy story, but this is a weird story because you say that. In MW3, I remember my brother had almost every gun max level, and he was the max for Siege, and he wouldn't let me on his account because I would obviously mess up his settings. I'll drag his KD down. Like I just wouldn't do good. I was basically like shit the bed all the time. And my account was like level like 30 because I couldn't get on the Xbox because like they were always hogging it. So I would like sneak onto his account whenever, or like whenever I had asked to play, and he said, "Yeah, I'll just grind the whole game for hours." I think that kind of played a part. I didn't really start grinding to get better until like a couple years later when I tried to start competing. But yeah, honestly, before that, that's basically all I did. All I did was just play on my brother's account. And I remember in Black Ops, that was the second FPS I played. I played Black Ops, and he put me in a combat training lobby. And if anybody knows combat training, all you do is play against bots. Like you don't play against real people. And he would set that up for me every single day for a whole year. And I thought I was playing real people, but I was just shooting bots the whole time. So,
Ender's Game.
Yeah, I don't know.
How old were you?
What's that? Black Ops 1? What year was that? That was right after H3, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, 2011 maybe.
Like 2011. I was in the third grade.
So you're like 8 years old.
Yeah.
So you thought you were playing against real people, but you're just shooting bots the whole time. Was he like? It almost sounds like he's like your trainer, like a military like drill sergeant. And he's like, listen, like this is what you're doing for a year. You're just gonna shoot as many bots as possible.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, do you feel like during that time span you maybe developed some of your like FPS skills was just shooting those bots for hours on end.
I mean, honestly, thinking back at it, like it had to have helped with my aim. Like, it's no way it didn't. Like, it's no way like
Right.
shooting bots for a whole year unknowingly like doesn't somehow help you out. So I think it did help me out, but like it was like unintended.
Like he was trying to do that just so you wouldn't bug him to play on his account.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
Formal said the same exact thing. That seems to be a theme in Halo, right? Brothers, either they team with each other and go on a dominant run, or they just don't let you play at all. It seems to be one or the other.
So yeah, I guess it was good because I just always used to think on this account whenever you went to football practice. So like, I got my place I'm in.
So Kuhlect, I'm really curious with how you got your gamer tag. It sounds super sweaty. It looks super cool. You got the unique spelling to it. How'd you come up with that?
My gamer tag before this was Zoda, and I only got that because I think it was when Xbox re-released all the gamer tags that were inactive, and I just grabbed that. I don't know why. But Kuhlect, I was watching a UMG match from COD, and his name is Neglect, and I was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool, and it's all capitalized, and my first name is Kahari, so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just take the last 4 letters and combine them with my first 3 letters, so Kahari, and then I was like, okay, bet Kuhlect, since it sounds kind of cool and it's kind of like catchy, like you can use everything for it.
I like that.
Thank you.
So you played the classic Halos, the classic Call of Duties. Which game or shooter would you say really honed that competitive drive, the will to want to get better and maybe even start to compete?
Ghost. I think Ghost was the first ever competitive game I've ever watched. And it was kind of random. I think it was when Ghost MLG just came out, and that's when Champs was in the beginning of the COD year instead of like the end. So I think I saw like an advertisement at MLG, and I mean, I always used to see people talk about like MLG whenever somebody was good, like in game chat, like, oh my god, he's MLG, he's MLG Pro. So I install it, and the first thing I see is that game in that tournament. So then I was like, oh, I kind of got into it a little bit more. I kind of got into clans a little bit more. So I was kind of like a clan kid for a while, and then I think it was MW, like 2019. Well, years before that, I was playing in like Twitter leagues, and like I'll get like 120, like from like a random Twitter league one day, got scammed the next day from another Twitter league that was fake. Like, so I just kept on basically playing those, and I kind of wanted to get better, like just in general, because I mean, when you're in like a circle of friends, like you want to be like that, like the best player in the circle all the time. Like you never want to be the guy that's like average or just the worst in the circle. So like I think that played a part too, but I think it was mostly when I started compete. I tried to start competing in NMW. I was 16, or I was 16 underage. Like that's like 2 years underage of like the challengers competing, and I think I played that for a bit.
A lot of Call of Duty. I didn't realize you were into Call of Duty as much as you were, but it does make sense. I mean, as fast as you play Halo, like it's so much more about like fast twitching in COD, right, than Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play much like Halo 4 or 5 at all, or were you mostly playing COD in that time frame?
I talk about this a lot. Your guys' is like Halo 2 and Halo 3 is my Halo Reach, Halo 4, Halo 5. I think Halo Reach was my favorite like game, like my favorite Halo ever, because that was like my first ever like Halo I've ever played on my own that I've like played through. Like I pre-ordered it, got the recon helmet, like all that. So I played Halo 4 a lot too. I liked Halo 4 too. I wasn't really online or like in any of the forums or wherever they were. So I didn't really know the rep the game had, like how many people didn't like it. But I mean, I love those 2 games. Even H5. I played H5 all the way up until 2017, and then 2018, and then I kind of stopped once the competitive scene kind of ended.
Nostalgia drives what your favorite Halo game is. Like I played Halo 2 when I was in high school. Like I love Halo 2, right? Like it's just kind of how it is. There was a meme that's like, I can tell you what your favorite Halo is based on your age, and it's just like, it's pretty much if you were in high school when it came out, that's probably your favorite Halo. So no, it totally makes sense. And it's funny you say the thing about Halo 4. You're like, I liked it because I didn't read other people's opinions about it, and I think that's a good lesson for a lot of people. Like, dude, who cares what other people say about like your favorite movie or game or whatever? Like, you can enjoy stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like people listen to other people's opinions about uh like how good a game is to decide what their opinion is about it. But it's like, dude, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. It is what it is. So
Exactly.
The forums can be a double-edged sword for sure. They can stoke the enthusiasm that you have for your favorite game, or they can also kill it. Speaking of the Reach DMR, that title famously switched from the battle rifle to the DMR. Was that something you were pretty hyped about going into season 3 of HCS? Was the switch from BR to Bandit? And what are your thoughts on it now?
Um, honestly, when the Switch came out, I mean, we kind of knew a couple months later, so I was kind of preparing for it. But I mean, but when with the VR, I honestly really couldn't like shoot back long range. So I was kind of happy. Like I was like, okay, but like we got a single shot weapon, I can finally shoot back long range. Because with the VR, I played a high sense, and it just was really hard to just connect all 3 bullets in the burst, long range, especially on a high FV. So when the Bandit came out, I was like really happy. One, because it was a new starting weapon, it was a fresh start, and I knew it was kind of going to change the meta, kind of. Um, I think it was good that they made that change right after Worlds. That way, everybody can get comfortable with it, and then so many tournaments were hosted as well.
What are your sense settings?
477. Yeah, I lowered
That-
my Excel one because it was a little too fast.
That's those are legend settings as well. He also plays 477. I think most of that quadrant team last year played that. I might have to hop. I recently bumped up to 4. I play 457.5,
Mm.
but I feel like if you're in people's face a lot in this game, like you are, and I feel like I'm kind of increasing my pace of play. Like you need to play on higher just so you can like kind of correct your aim. If you're flying in someone's face or like over their head with a curb slide, like you've got to be able to keep up with like adjusting your movement as it relates to your crosshairs movement as well. So
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. Lately, there's been a lot of conversation about the sandbox and the maps, and maybe the bandit needing a slower time to kill, or the maps need to be refreshed. What's kind of your perspective right now on the current meta?
I do think the maps need a refresh. I think Solitude Plaza need to refresh. I think Aqua needs a refresh, and then I think we need newer maps, like new original maps, no more remakes. I think Plaza getting spawn trapped in blue is really, really hard because on the other maps you don't spawn next to a stronghold like how you do on Plaza. Like you can't really, you don't have a thing to play around. And then I think Aqua. I think putting OVP one kind of it didn't leave Car useless, but I guess it kind of made P way more valuable than it was supposed to be. So I think moving the power up to top mid again, and then the thrust bottom mid would be great, and then removing the heat wave, maybe possibly, but yeah, or maybe putting the heat wave Car 1 where the plasma pistol spawns, but I think that would negate, I guess, OV. Or you can put a plasma pistol P1 and then a heat wave Car 1. Solid shit, I think you just like what all the other pro players said, you just put a repost in blue. Change the shock back to a snipe.
I agree with that. Yeah. Obviously, we first noticed you in Halo Infinite, but it's cool to hear, your background with COD and other Halos. I'm curious, how did you get into, like, everybody knows there's kind of a politics involved with getting onto good teams and like playing with better players. I'm curious, like, was there any specific player that helped you like bridge the gap onto getting onto good teams in those early Halo Infinite days? And talk me through, I guess, like your early Halo Infinite competitive experience.
It was 100% Remy. I think it was 100% Remy. I think some other pros had some parts in it. Because I mean, in H5, I was just like some toxic kid that like teabagged you and like sent some really interesting Xbox Live messages to everybody and just complained. I was like, it's a terrible time looking back at it. But so I guess everybody kind of knew me from that. And then, I mean, in Infinite, I was just playing matchmaking. I was grinding. I was streaming. Fnatic hit me up randomly. Like I wasn't even competing yet. Like I wasn't even on a team yet. Fnatic hit me up, and then I was like, started playing matchmaking. I saw Rami, and then I didn't really see him scrimming to have everybody added. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna message Rami. I know he's good. Like I've seen him play in H5, and surprisingly, he said yes. We started playing with Posey and Chance. Then we went to Rally, did our thing, and then we went to the next event with Bomex and Ironico, and then I got my first ever offers from G2 and SSG, and I went to SSG. So it was a good time. It definitely goes to Remy, 100% though. It's the MVP of that.
Yeah, you guys competed online for a couple events. You got top 12, or was it? It was top 24 actually at Raleigh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All things considered, though, that's not a bad result, especially for your first time on the scene. What did you learn that event, and what was your what was the key to doubling up on the next placing? Because you did eventually place top 12 shortly after on LAN, I believe, right?
Yeah. So honestly, after the first event, I kind of noticed everybody was kind of. Personally, I thought everybody was pretty shit at the game. Like after we lost, I was like, I don't even know how we just lost that. Because like those guys, it was Navi at the time, and no disrespect, but like they were really average. Like we could have beat them. I feel like everybody has that feeling after they lose to, like, after being an underdog and losing to a team so closely. But I mean, after that event, I kind of started to learn about basically like how to play, like the basics. And just like the basics off spawn, I started to learn a bit more about that. I started watching a lot more streams, and I also got noticed more. So, right after that event, I got trials from G2 and SSG. So when I was playing with them, I was learning a lot too. I didn't get on the teams obviously for the next event. I was on ESA Red, but I got a lot of practice with those guys, and they taught me a lot during that time. So I appreciate that. But yeah, basically just learning more of the basics and what I could do to help my team.
Would you say that before those experiences, you were mostly just running and gunning and just like winning all your gunfights, and that was a primary reason for like at least the level of success that you had? Like, did you feel like you were maybe just playing kind of without a real purpose on the map, but still winning your fights and getting away with it anyways, kind of thing?
I I'd say yeah. Kind of because that was like what I was told to do. But I mean, even before that, like I would always message. I mean, I've always messaged pros about advice, like, or what I could do to help my team. Or even before that, when I think Formal made a video, it was like how to be a better teammate, and like people always release like a YouTube like or a Twitter clip of like from that video. I used to watch like just scrims in general from every other like any game like COD, Halo. Whenever people used to stream Halo. So yeah, I mean, I'd say I just run, shoot, kill for a bit. Yeah.
Jumping back to the time where you're teaming with Rami and you guys were duos for a long time. I remember when you joined SSG, there's a lot of hype around that roster after back-to-back top sixes in the online cups. You guys end up placing top 16 at Kansas City. From your perspective, what really went wrong on LAN at Kansas City? Because it felt like you guys were destined for a bit higher of a placement there.
Honestly, I think our problem was we weren't really a team. I think that's one thing that I have improved on the past 2 years is being a better teammate, like a way better teammate. That team, we kind of we well, one, we didn't really practice well. We had different philosophies to the game, so we would always just be on different pages. VOD didn't really go well, so we didn't really get much good prep going into the tournament. And then also we just weren't a team. The team chemistry was kind of off. We would like get done with the series, disappear, not talk, come back, play the series again, disappear, not talk, like, and that's kind of like that's kind of like what it was all the way until I guess we were all off of SSG. Until Donnie came in, but on that team specifically, we just weren't really a team. I think it was egos from all of us. I won't put anybody under the bus, but there's definitely egos. You involve less criticism. You're deflecting criticism. So I think it was that. And we also just weren't a team. I don't think anybody really wanted to play with each other. We were just there just to play.
That actually makes a lot of sense and kind of mirrors some of the experiences that I had as a coach. Like for G1, I mean, there was at times that roster really loved each other and like wanted to hang out and play. And there's like time periods where like after scrims, like they're running matchmaking together, but then like some kind of disagreement happens or like you said, egos get involved and people are like, he's wrong, I'm right. And I do feel like just generally speaking, you do have to be kind of, I guess, open-minded and like willing to hang out with each other. You've got to genuinely bond and like experience like that friendship. Like if you're not friends with your teammates, like outside of the game, are you really going to put your life on the line for them inside of the game? Like people don't realize like how much of that out of the game stuff bleeds into the game itself. So that's a really introspective perspective you had about that team. Curious, what would you say, like from your perspective, what makes a good teammate? Like, because you said over the last 2 years you've been trying to become a better teammate. So in your eyes, like what have you changed about yourself, and also what do you look for in other teammates as well?
Honestly, the way I was kind of like, even though I was a rookie, my head I could kind of like do no wrong, and even if I did do wrong, I would be so hard stuck on my opinion about a play or how I wanted one thing to go that I wouldn't really see the other side through all the way. Also, I mean, just hanging out, that too. I think and anytime after scrims, if we didn't have that, I would disappear. Like I was gone. But I wouldn't put that, honestly, in my opinion, I wouldn't put that all on me. I feel like it was a whole group effort that we just didn't fuck with each other. But now, I guess it got more serious. I just kind of matured more. I'm not really a dickhead anymore. I'm not really butting heads with people.
You're a really young player. Would you say some of your maturation has just been simply you're getting older, right? You're 19 now, I think, or
I'm 20. I just turned 20 a couple months ago. Yeah.
so when you started, you're 18, man. We were all doing dumb shit when we were 18. So
Yeah.
would you say part of that maturation growth period is just simply you getting a little bit older and really growing into yourself?
It was also just like after that whole SSG team happened, you kind of, and everybody like goes through separate ways. You kind of take like a step back from like your own POV and like you just kind of think about everything and you're like, wow, like this could have gone so much better if I wasn't being so hard stuck on an opinion. So I kind of think I did a lot of that the whole year one. I just kind of took a step back, took everything in, and I tried to do the opposite of everything that was terrible that year, and that's really helped me now because now I'm chilling. Like I'm not I'm not toxic at all. Like I'm very supportive, which is what I think I should have been on the SSG team. Really open minded and supportive, but yeah.
It's almost like Kullect's experience as a player. Like I feel like you've bounced on so many different rosters. You've gone through like one of the most tumultuous like early careers you could possibly go through. You've like you've had so many different teammates, you've been dropped from different rosters, you've left different rosters. Like it almost feels like that's forced you to grow into a player faster than I think other players would. It's like it's probably difficult to go through in the moment, but like from a, like you said, take a step back and look at it, it's almost like probably a good thing overall for you because you've grown so much as a player, I think, in just the 2 years that you've been competing.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Like it's really cool to watch. Like I'm always rooting for you guys whenever you end up on a new team.
I remember vividly when you got dropped by SSG, it was kind of like a wait, they dropped who? And now hearing your backstory about some of those just growth stages that you went through, it makes a little bit more sense maybe as to why you got dropped. But I still feel like that's part of the narrative, right? Even as recently as with native gaming, it's like, wait, they dropped who? Kuhlect? Are you kidding me? But every time you go on a revenge tour, it seems like you have some of your best placings after a moment like that. It feels like you have your best learning lessons after a moment like that. Is that a coincidence? Is there a chip on your shoulder after these instances, or what's led to that growth in some of your most difficult times?
Yeah, well, the two teams I've gotten, well, the three teams now I've gotten dropped from is pure bullshit. I'm gonna just say right now.
Talk it.
Full transparency. Um, I think on the SSG team, I think Aaron had way too much like pull. It was also just a lot of like random stuff too. Like after Kansas City, like they're scrimming without telling me. They're scrimming with Jesse without telling me. Like I'm on stream. Like that's a clip. That's it's on Reddit some fucking that's somewhere. And just like stuff like that, like me not knowing, and then I'm like, okay, bet, okay, you guys are scrimming with Boo Boo. I'm gonna go to KCV. Like it's whatever. I got an offer from them, and I just wasn't taking it. I'm gonna go to KCV, and just like it's stuff like that led to the SSG situation, and then that whole year, the rest of that year, I guess I kind of teed up. I got on KCP again, signed. They wanted to play with Manny. Then I went to go trial for Oxygen, and then Sentinels, which is like my real, like that was like my real first shot. Like I'm playing with Lethal Sparty, like, and I grind on that team. I do the best I could on that team. I do good at the turn. We do good at the turn. We choke, but I mean I'm frying, and then I get dropped from that team basically for no reason. Like even Sweaty tweeted it out. He was like, "It's not comms. It's not gun skill. It seems kind of trolly. It's not comms. It's not gun skill. It's not personality. We just need to change." And that's the same thing with Native. I wasn't told why I got dropped from Native, but I guess from the like taking a step back again. Like I said, I guess that is the issue. Maybe they just wanted a different change. Maybe they just think something was needed, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just as confused as people are when I get dropped. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, sometimes there isn't even a good reason. Like you said, sometimes it just feels like, all right, we got to make a change. And, you can't blow up the whole roster. You can't drop all four players. It's got to be one. And sometimes it really does feel like it's just a coin flip. So those are tough moments. But man, the growth that you've made after those has been incredible. And I know Eli and I, we have a lot of fun casting you in recent tournaments against your former teammates. You're having
Yeah.
some final words for sure through the action in your gameplay. So it's been really fun to watch.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So after getting dropped by SSG, you ended up having your best placings on LAN. You had a top 8 at
Mhm.
Orlando, and you
Yeah.
finished the Halo World Championship Season 1, your first season competing in Halo, with a
Mhm.
top 6 placing at the toughest tournament where teams were making a run. Remember, Native Gaming got that top 3 placing, so you guys were in the mix there as well. This felt like the moment you truly broke through. What did it feel like to you?
It felt great, honestly. Given like all things given, like I start the year on a high. The middle of the year is kind of like a medium low. Like I'm on my first pro team and it's not going well at all. And then I get dropped. That's like the lowest low. And then I get on a good team, KCP. I'm like, okay, bet. Like it's kind of getting up there. And then they wanna they want to play with Manny, so I go to Oxygen. I'm like, at that point, honestly, it was like it is what it is now. Like I gotta do the best I can. Like it's no time to just sit here and fucking complain. So I kind of just locked in for this year. And it felt good. It felt good because I feel like I kind of proved that what happened on SSG wasn't really.
Didn't define you.
Yeah, it didn't really define me like at all. Like that was like a outlier. So yeah, it was just really good to prove that, and then also just outplace every single one of my teammates that I had. Felt really good.
So jumping back to a bit more recent times, you were picked up onto that Native Gaming roster. Originally APG, Neptune, and McWin. Later we find out there's some issues with Neptune. Then Barcode comes in. This squad seemed great on paper, but ultimately from the outside looking in, it just always felt like there was some issues with you guys, maybe some inconsistencies. From your perspective, what do you feel like was the issue with that squad?
Um, well, personally, I didn't think we had enough time together, like at all. We picked up Barcode. One, we had a fourth every single week of the Open. We played with Neptune. We were supposed to play with Last Shot, play with Chance. Barcode got to the US 2 days before the Open, played with him, and then we played that next week. And I think we got 2.5 weeks of practice before the event, and we were in open bracket because of that. Like, because we just weren't placing well. I kind of don't want to talk about, but I chalk that beginning of the year to us having multiple force and not scrimming with force consistently. And then I do think it is a lot of disagreements. Full transparency, me and Austin had a lot of disagreements on like how to play, kind of like the SSG situation. A long debate about how we want to play some of these situations and like the pros and the cons. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just a lot of opinions on that team and like different opinions, and we couldn't come to a common ground. Not even a common ground, like
Like a system that worked for everybody, kind of thing.
yeah. We were kind of on like 3 different systems, and it just didn't work out.
That actually makes a lot of sense from the outside looking in, because it felt like at times you guys would like gel, but
Mhm.
from my experience on teams and just like being a competitor, it's like if you guys do too much thinking all the time, like you don't have as much space for like on the fly playmaking or like just being in
Yeah.
the moment. It's almost like you're thinking too much when you just kind of gotta just see a play and make it happen based on what's currently happening in the game, right? We can sit and talk about setups and strategies all we want, but it's like the real game is messy and fast paced, and like you've just got to figure it out as you go. So
Yeah, I honestly think that it's literally exactly our problem. I think Austin said that like exactly how you said it. We were
mhm.
playing way too like we were trying to play way too perfect, and trying to play way too perfect just always leads to a horrible outcome all the time.
Too reactive.
Yeah, you're too reactive. You want to do everything perfectly. You don't like. You're not thinking of plays on the fly that could win you games. I think that. Yeah, so I think that's a big part of it. We were trying to play way too perfect. We weren't really loose. We were playing kind of slow because of it too, and that like bit us in the ass like all the time. So yeah.
I actually really appreciate your perspective on that, Collect. It sounds to me like it's not even a personality issue. It wasn't even a we don't like these guys out of game issue. It almost sounds like a era difference, like an age difference where you've got more like kind of like an old guard way of thinking, and then you come into the scene with this new way of playing Halo, new way of thinking. Do you think that was mostly the difference? Because now you're on this Proton squad with Last Shot, another guy who's young, up and coming, potential rookie of the year. And then you got Druck and Talik. I mean, these guys like to play fast, aggressive, in your face, and proactive. Would you say
hmm
that's been a big difference for why you found some recent success with this Proton team?
I'd say it plays a huge part, basically because I mean the meta right now it's kind of hard to explain, but you want to play fast. You want to get in people's face. You want to stagger people. You want to split spawn people. We all have that same mindset. We all had that same mindset year one when I almost teamed with them. It was pretty easy, and then I mean last shot too. Wyatt's a god. He wants to do the same thing. Wyatt go get damage, go kill. So
A lot of people don't realize how much like philosophy plays a factor in a team's success, because like if you're just not on the same page, I mean, even down to specific game types, like strongholds, for example, is one I always call a philosophy-based game type, because it's like if one guy on your team thinks you should be playing AB and another team thinks you should be playing AC, and the third and fourth guys think you should be going for trip cap the whole game, like no one's gonna be working on the map together
yeah.
properly at all, right? So that makes a lot of sense. So you've got to be on the same page, and that's why the skill gap in this game is teamwork and cohesion and I guess philosophy, if you want to put it that way as well. So after you got dropped, you ended up kind of in like a limbo period before you end up on Proton, with the roster appropriately named Still Deciding, as I guess, I don't know if that's because Cloud9 was deciding which half of their roster they were going to continue supporting, or if you guys are still deciding if that was even going to be a team. But
Which was it?
yeah, I'm curious, before I ask the rest of that question, is it why is Still Deciding?
I don't even know if I should say this, but yeah, we were just still deciding if we were C9 or not at the moment. So yeah.
We asked Tusk a similar question uh, at that Orlando LAN, and he said the same thing. Yeah, he's like, yeah, Cloud9 was deciding like which half they were gonna support. So with that roster, you ended up finding some success. You even beat Native. You guys had like a little mini rivalry where you guys, I think, reverse swept them in the first
Yeah.
one, if I'm not mistaken,
Second,
and
right?
then
Dude,
Or
the
was it the
second
first?
one, yeah.
in the second
So
one.
And you had lost the first one, and then you're staring at the 0-2.
yeah, we got 3-0 or 3-1. Yeah.
Walk us through that. You lose already. You're about to go 0-2 in the series against your former team. You never want to lose against your former team. What was it like getting that reverse sweep?
It felt really good. One, because I mean, I know how to play against those guys. Like in my opinion, is really easy to counter them. So I kind of just like talked us through that, and I mean, one, we came out so flat, like we had no confidence. Like it was like everybody just rolled out of bed, and it was like a scrim against like a top 128, like 128 team. Like we just didn't care, and we were getting like shit on. Yeah, I don't know. We just played lazy against a team that we just can't play lazy against. Bro. Like those, all four of those guys are good. Like they're all good at the game. Like we can't be lazy and like not hold a death cam or like not call something out or like just complete laziness. So I mean, right after game two, we weren't even losing by a lot. Like we lost the Slayer by I think like 20 points, and I was like, we're literally playing shit right now. Like these guys are so shit at the game that these games are close and we're barely losing to them. And if we just tee up and like tighten up and stop getting lazy, we win the whole game. We win the whole series. And then those next 3 games, they get shit on and we reverse sweep them. So, yeah.
You were, and I don't look at stats often, but you were I vividly remember, this wasn't long ago, so it's a little bit easier with our old man age or memory, but you were frying, dude. I could feel almost like a body language, like your POV looked different. Like it seemed like you really willed that series. You changed the course of that squad, it felt like in those 3 games. Do you remember really putting it like, all right, it's on me. I'm the guy who was on this team. Like these are my rivals, not necessarily my teammates. Like, was there that element to that? Because you started frying and popping off.
If you get dropped from a team, you don't want to hear, "Oh my god, his replacement is so much," like, "Oh my god, they're so much better now." Like I don't want to hear that shit. Like I so then like every time I play against them, no matter what, I'm always gonna want to beat them because one, I don't think I should have got dropped, and 2, like I just don't want to lose. So I guess that thought in the back of my head the whole time helped a lot. And then I guess knowing how to play against them helped a lot too, because I mean I just wasn't fucking losing that series. So
I always have the chat up on the side when we're casting, just to like, I don't know, we keep the pulse of the chat, see what people are saying. And I'm pretty sure I remember like Druck and Talik being in the chat, like Kuhlect, or like they're like losing their shit in chat, which I think is so funny. Like they're literally rooting for you as you're beating your old roster, and then ultimately come to you and, you know, approach you and offer you to join their roster. So when you got approached, was it like a no-brainer, like, yeah, I'm going to join immediately, or was it like a difficult decision you had to think about?
it's kind of in the middle because, like, yeah, they're a good team, but like, I don't know. I was looking at seeds and stuff like before the still deciding roster. Like, we were talking about like, okay, we're top 4. You know, we get top 3. Like, we can win the tournament. It's pretty easy. It's not any like, it's some good teams in it, but they're beatable. So we're like, okay, we're still the top 4 seed. We get a pool play spot, whatever, cool. And I was honestly thinking about that the whole time, when I really shouldn't have. I really should have been thinking about the potential, and they kind of had to talk me through that. And then it's also that thing with C9, like I can get on C9. Our other team could be on C9. So it's just all those thoughts in the back of my head, and they kind of like talked me through it, and I kind of just thought about it myself. Like, I mean, dude, like honestly, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck what seed we are? Like. And I have max confidence too, so I just believe that we can beat any team, and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, they had to do a little bit of convincing, but I had to do convincing myself too. I had to kind of reroute my brain and like get my shit together before finally making a decision.
I love that perspective. Like, it really doesn't matter what your seed is if you're the best team in the tournament, right? Like, that just means you're going to beat everybody that you face. Like, think back to believe the Hype winning the national championship. They came in 7th seed, or 6th or 7th seed, and then just beat everybody. And it's because they had faith in each other. Like, you have to imagine some of those players, like Cloud was on that team, so Cloud probably got offers to join other teams, but they're like, nah, let's just stick with this team, because who cares what our seed is if we're gonna steal somebody's seed anyway. So like, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, literally.
I was gonna say, on that note, so what do you think the ceiling is for this current Proton roster? Are you guys having some visions of winning London?
100%. No matter how, I guess, quote unquote, bad the people view like my rosters or perspective on rosters that I'm on, I mean, I always have the confidence that we can win a tournament. I guess I'm just delusional like that, delusional ego, but I feel like that's how every player has to be. you have to think like that. But yeah, we 100% we want to win, especially with how scrims have been going and how dominant the tournament was. We really do have high expectations because I mean, winning that tournament, it was online, yeah, and we didn't really play good teams besides like Sen. That was like kind of like our floor, and we know how good Sen is. Like Sen is really fucking good with precision.
Oh, yeah.
So after a couple scrims, like we were like, okay, bet this is our floor right now, and we're so fucking good. We're just gonna try to apply it all at London. Keep the same philosophies that we had, and yeah, try to win the tournament.
Eli, you brought up that believe the hype roster, which really segues perfectly into this question, and it talks a little bit about what you just mentioned with that major qualifier. You guys came in as the 7th seed, 12th overall, a long shot to make it to London through points, which is great to hear your perspective previously on, because you were thinking about it just like everybody in the community was, like, oh man, I just don't think they can make it through points. You guys had to get top 2. I actually saw on Twitter that your manager, Jagged Cloud, joined the Discord before the tournament and said, boys, if you want to make it to London, we got to win the whole thing. I imagine that amped you guys up, but it could also be pretty frightening to hear something like that. What was your mindset going into that major qualifier and ultimately winning the whole thing?
I mean, my mindset was literally to win the whole thing. We honestly did. If we would have lost in grand finals, I didn't even like that wasn't really like a. I wasn't really like a option. It wasn't really a thought in my head to lose in grand finals. And honestly, like I really like took a step back again, and I was like, the teams we're playing is like they're really shit. Like we're not gonna play Optic. Like we're not gonna play Optic for like top 8, like how you do in the opens, like in the 3rd round, and you got to get top 2 in those tournaments with an unpracticed team, especially. So I kind of took a step back, looked at the teams we were playing. I was like, okay, these guys are pretty shit. And then we did really well. There's a lot of motivation too, because Hunter, after Jagged Cloud said that, Hunter said, "Don't worry about it. We got it. Like we got this." And yeah, we kind of proved his point. So that was pretty good.
And I imagine that was in a really believable tone, right? Like it wasn't like, "Oh, we got this." It was probably a confident, "We got this." Did you guys?
I mean, it was a text message about.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, props to Jagged Cloud. I think that was pretty cool, honestly, because like I said, it could go one or the other way. You guys could lock the fuck in on that, or you could absolutely crumble. Like, oh man, we're the 12th seed and we have to win. That's such a tall mountain to climb.
Yeah,
but
literally.
I think Ryan is his name. I think Ryan had a good idea of what y'all's personalities were like. And he was like, man, on the 50-50 coin toss, so which way this could go, I think these guys will lock in. So
yeah,
it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, it's good of him to trust us too on that.
This definitely seems like the best roster you've been on, at least from my perspective. I think you're also playing probably your best right now than you've ever played. But tell me a little about, like, from your perspective, like, what is it about Druk, Talik, and Last Shot, and maybe focus a little bit on Last Shot here because he's the newcomer.
Yeah, well, Druk's pretty shit. Talik can't shoot straight. No, I mean, I wanted to pick up Last Shot on native. I mean, he literally fried us when we played him in that first open with Neptune, and we wanted to pick him up then. He went to G1, and his whole mindset isn't even about anything. He just wants to win. Like, we were like, okay, why'd you go to that team? Like, why are you going to business? Like, why are you going to that team? And he was like, I mean, I just wanted to win. I just think I have more potential with that team. And I kind of changed my mindset about everything that went on. Like, at the moment, it was like, okay, what the fuck? Like, you said you verbally agreed to join us, but then it's like, I mean, you know, like, you want to play better, like, you want to place well, like, you don't care about salary or any of that, like, you want to win. So that changed my mindset on him, and that changed my mindset period as well, especially with the decision on going from C9 to Proton. I think it's really good that we all have the same mindset. We're all really open about it too, like on like basically everything. I think that helps too. I really think it helps when people are open to talk about things and like what they fuck up on and like being confused on stuff. And I think Druk does a good job like answering those questions or basically being the leader on the team. And why is shoot straight? Like he's a damager. Like if you look at our stats, like any series, like he is fucking frying. and I mean, even when he's frying, like you know how you're on flow, you can do no wrong. Like we're like, yo, you should have did this, and he's really open to fix that. Like, he's not really combative about it. I think that's really good about Wyatt, and he really wants to learn. I guess we're really comfortable. Like really try. Like we have that team cohesion that I had on Oxygen, and this is the second roster that's ever been like that, and I think that really plays a huge part into it. So.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot about just vibes being so important for a squad, right? Like I mean, you talked about the SSG roster that you're on sound like it had the negative vibes. Like everyone just wants to split. It's just like don't want to hang out, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, you can just look at like Tolik's smile. Like he's just always cheesing. Like I feel like he just brings brings vibes to the squad by default. And like I've kind of felt like Druck is the same way in game. And I've listened to their comms. Like before you were on the roster, I haven't heard the comms with you on it, but it just always feels like there's like max intensity, but there's also like room for flow state. There's also like the way they communicate like allows you to maybe like change plays on the fly. And then I don't know. I just love their communication style. I think it works really well for the meta right now too. So that's my perspective of why the team's so good. And you're right. Last Shot is like, I don't know. I'm excited to see him on land. He does. It's like the numbers of damage that he does like don't even make sense. Like it doesn't even compute to me. Like for him to out damage you, Tolik, and Druck like consistently is crazy because like you guys are some of the biggest damage dealers. So you add him and he's doing even more damage. It's like I don't know how anyone survives on the map. I mean, I've played against Last Shot in matchmaking a few times, and I feel like I never see him. Like I don't know. Like I can't find him on the map. But then it's like you were killed by Last Shot. You were killed by Last Shot. You were killed.
Exactly.
It's like his playstyle is just it's very unique, I think. And he's been refreshing to watch.
I think his playstyle kind of helps my playstyle because I mean, through year 1 and year 2, I've kind of changed my playstyle. Like I'm not as much of a damage dealer, like at all, really. I've kind of changed mine to like start like hitting routes. I mean, I guess if you want to look at stats, you can see that. Like, I'm always just hitting routes and getting cleanups, and I think it really works out because Wyatt and Hunter are doing max damage, and me and Druck are flying around the map and like cleaning it up and like closing in on people really fast. Like, I think Wyatt really helps my playstyle. Same thing with Hunter and Druck. We're all like on the map together fighting. Without, I mean, we comment, but it's kind of like it's like natural in a way. So
yeah,
I think that really makes it a lot better because we are all on the same page.
Yeah, that probably opens up the room for improvisation, right? When you have that hive mindset where you're all on the same page, you don't necessarily need to communicate it until it's like, oh shit, the cuts are open. Let's take that instead of going dummy door, for example. Going back to the Last Shot, there's been so many team changes, man. I my head spins thinking about all of them. I actually forgot that you had a chance to team with Last Shot for a little while. When he left that native gaming roster, were you kind of like, all right, well, if this doesn't work out with native, I'm regrouping with Last Shot because this kid's nasty.
No, not really, but yeah. No, because I just had I just had max confidence in my team, no matter who we picked up at the moment, and we really didn't even give ourselves a real shot like that. I guess trio with me, Brad, and Austin. If Wyatt was still down the team after that, I would play. But, like,
Yep.
On that note, we've got the schedule. I don't know if you saw it, but right before you jumped into the podcast with us today, HCS put out the London Day 1 schedule. I'm sharing it in Discord if you want to take a look at it. So it looks like, yeah, it looks like your very first pool play match on Friday is going to be against BH3 Esports. We looked it up. That's actually the other EU team. So Bo was already in pools. Quadrant made it via winning the tournament, and BH3 Esports was the number 1 in points in EU. So I believe that is
Jump Out Gang.
Yeah, Jump Out Gang is what they were going by. So that's going to be your first match. I feel like that's always a good thing to play, like maybe your quote unquote easier match first to kind of help you warm up. And it looks like then you go into Space Station as your next match, and then doesn't show your last match. So I'm assuming that one will be off stream. But how do you feel about the schedule now that you've taken a look at it?
I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm pretty fine with it. I'm fine with our pool. I mean, like I said, we're just really confident. Anyway, no matter who we play. Like SSG. Recently we kind of got shit on by him in his scrim, but I mean, other than that, I think we play well against them. I think we counter them well. I think it's just about those like winning moments, those like really tight moments that we lose in, and I think if we kind of just focus up on that, we'll be fine.
Besides playing in the tournament, what are you looking forward to most about going to London? Is this going to be your first time traveling overseas?
Yeah, it's my first time traveling outside the U.S. period, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm not excited about McDonald's not having a McGriddle.
Well, you gotta have McDonald's in London, right?
Yeah, they do, but they don't have a McGriddle.
What?
It's the best thing on the menu.
That's a travesty.
Nah, but I'm excited about London just because it's overseas and it's a place I've never been to. So I'm gonna try to make it as fun as possible. Still be locked in for the tournament, obviously, but I need to like research for some places to eat because I haven't really got good recommendations yet. So I gotta need to search on my own and see what I could do down there. But I'm really excited. First time ever being out of the country, going to a major with possibly the best team I've ever been on. So yeah, it's an exciting time.
Yeah, I have one final question for you, Kuhlect. This is something that's been on my mind. I see all the time in LVT chat some up and coming players talking about how to break through, and they all but say it's impossible. They all but say it's not even worth trying. But you have broken through, and guys like Cycle have broken through. Mental, Woodham, guys who have never played Halo until Halo Infinite. They've got some of their first 1,000 hours in this game itself. So guys have broken through. That's a handful I just mentioned off the top of my head. So what is the key? What would your advice be to maybe even a younger version of yourself or those players that are looking to break through? Because you're one of the guys that have done that.
You just got to network. Simple as that. One, you have to network, and two, you have to place well. Like honestly, anybody that is getting the gas right now and they haven't placed well at a LAN, like you're not gonna get a shot. It's not Valorant. It's not any of these other games. It's not League of Legends where like the number one ranked player gets a shot. Like you need to place well while also being up and coming. And I guess players up and coming should hit up the lower seeded teams more, and try to play with those guys, like matchmaking, like anything to really like talk to those guys, and yeah, just try that.
It's great advice. I mean, I would say the same thing. Like, you got to at least sign up to the tournament. Like, yeah, maybe you don't think you're on the roster you ultimately want to be on, but like, get on the best roster you can, prove that you're capable, and then like work your way up the ladder because you're not going to just like, who's going to pick you up if you don't even sign up for the tournaments, right? So,
Yeah.
You say last week, Eli, are you even trying?
Yeah, I think I said it on the cast. I was like roasting chat because people are saying some stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, you're literally in chat right now. You did not sign up for the tournament. Like, sign up for the tournament and play, and then maybe people will take you seriously. It's important.
Yeah.
So.
People are scared of being told no for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you should just be messaging everybody at all times if you want to.
Isn't that the whole story of Kuhlect in a sense, though? Being told no and then saying yes through your gameplay, through your effort, through your actions. I feel like that's the narrative of Kuhlect. That's what I think of when I think of you.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, I guess it is. That's a good point.
Every time they try to put you down, you just rise up stronger. And now I feel like you're the strongest you've ever been, on the verge of a potential amazing performance here at London, which I have all faith that your squad will have. We're going to go into some quick fire questions. These are designed to have short answers, but you can expand if you like. What would you say is your fondest Halo memory?
Reverse sweeping G2 at Worlds.
That's a good one. You're a bit younger and maybe don't know all of Halo history, but if you had to pick your Halo Mount Rushmore, so top 4 Halo players of all time, who would be on that?
Oh shit. TJ, 100%. Top 4, like
It's hard.
Top 4.
TJ over to Snakebite Royal 2.
All right. And what would you say is a Halo hot take that you have that would get you roasted on social media?
Halo Infinite's good.
Wow. That's strong. That's strong.
Yeah.
I feel like 90% of the pros that play this game just hate it every day. But like,
Yeah, I understand why. But I think like the foundation, I think it's a really good game. I think it was just mistreated year one.
If we had this Halo at launch, it could be the biggest Halo ever. I agree. I think Halo Infinite in its current rendition, and Eli and I are classic Halo kids. We're very biased towards Halo 2, Halo 3. I'd say Halo Infinite is right there with the greatest Halo classics of Halo 2, Halo 3. It just took a little while to get there, but we're here now, and I think you're right, Kuhlect. We should appreciate that because it's a damn good game and it's damn fun to watch.
Yeah.
we kind of asked this a little bit earlier, but which game would you say was your foundational competitive game or shooter that you first started with?
Halo 3, Black Ops 1, either or. I guess those games basically fit.
What is your favorite weapon throughout all Halo games?
Oh, the sniper. 100%.
Any particular game that you really love the sniper in?
Reach, and Halo 3. I think the sniper in this game is good too, but I think Reach and Halo 3 are unbeatable.
It's funny you say that. Bound just said Halo Reach Sniper was his favorite as well in the podcast we just dropped as well. And Halo 3 and Reach were pretty different. Halo 3 was a lot harder to use than Reach, which I think made it more satisfying for me personally. Who would you say is your favorite duo that you've teamed with, either past or present?
Duo or teammate?
We can say teammate.
Besides my team right now, I can give like a top 3, I guess. TJ, Remy, boom, and then honorable mention Brad, APG. But TJ, Remy, and Boom were really, really good teammates in my opinion.
Who is your favorite rival to compete against?
I already have one, but I'll just say Cycle.
Like playing against Cycle? Okay.
Yeah.
You guys have similar playstyles. It makes sense. I feel like I envision if you guys are playing against each other, you're kind of trying to shut each other down, or like you're often fighting for the same space, I would imagine. So that makes sense to me. Let's see. What is your favorite overall Halo title?
Halo Reach. 100%.
What is it about Halo Reach that you enjoyed the most? Is it the nostalgia factor? Was it, I guess, the DMR, the maps? What do you like the most about it?
Well, that was really, it's nostalgia, yeah, but I'm also huge on customization, and that game was crazy for customizing your Spartan. And then also just that was like the first Halo I ever started. Like I tried to play clans, like I tried to play the MLG playlist, I guess they would call them. Forge Road came out. I was making stuff on that, having fun with my brothers on that. So yeah, it was just like a really nostalgic game, I'd say.
Well, that's going to do it, Kuhlect, for the questions we had for you today. Thanks so much for coming on to the podcast. Did you want to say thanks to anybody in particular or have any closing thoughts about the podcast?
Thanks to people that are still making content for the game, like you guys, LVT, HCS Pro Talk, and then other pro players that are, posting content. I think it might not seem like it helps, but it's kind of holding some things together right now. So I appreciate you guys, and then I'd say thank you for the people that have been supporting me through this whole roller coaster of the past 2 years. Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for having me as well.
You're welcome, man. This has been an absolute blast. Can't wait to see how you guys do in London. Best of luck to you. And we'll be watching. We'll be casting as well. So that's going to do it for this episode of Tide the Leader. Make sure you do follow both myself and Makowski on socials, YouTube, Twitter, all that. We've also got the Patreon up and running now, where we're posting the podcast 24 hours before they're released on YouTube. If you'd like to support this project, be sure to check out that link in the description as well. As always, thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next episode.
They're moving together to make sure they have the highest possibility of trading out, and they get one. And who else will be the man to put the finishing touches on?